Argos go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go, go, go. Go Toronto Argos, go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go Toronto, go. Go Argos, go, go, go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of the Argo Bounce Podcast Show, a weekly independent talk show devoted to the CFL's 19-time Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts, hosted by Chris Pomay and Nick Small. And I'm going to bring Nick on tonight, and we're going to talk about the Argos' first win of the year, 29-16 over Ottawa, and preview their upcoming game tomorrow night at BMO Field against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and also look around the CFL for Week 5 games and our picks as well. So just 1 second, Nick. I'm going to bring you right on. Nick, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Chris. It's always nice when we get to do one of these episodes where we have the depth charts already in place. It's been a short week for the Argonauts. They played on Sunday in Ottawa, and not a lot of turnaround time. They had Monday off. And then Tuesday, Thursday were kind of lighter days with walkthroughs. And then Wednesday was their only real opportunity at a full practice. So no rest for the wicked, because now they got to host the Tiger Cats, their biggest rivals, in what should be always a fierce cataclysmic battle between two fierce opponents in the CFL.
Nick, by the way, I have a special guest tonight. He's a friend of ours, friend of the show, and he's a friend of the CFL and the Toronto Argonauts, and he's the longtime play-by-play voice of the Toronto Argonauts and their manager of communications, Mr. Mike Hogan. Good evening, Mike. How are you?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great, Hoagie. Thanks for coming on and joining us. Always a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It was a very happy Canada Day and a happy birthday with the Argos winning and the Detroit Tigers winning. So it was a very productive Sunday.
I don't care about your Tigers. Sorry, my dad would have, because he was a Tigers fan back in the day. But yeah, we'll take the Argos win, no question.
Yeah, the Jays won too, so that's always an important thing for those who care only about Canada's baseball team. Thumping the Yankees pretty good.
Canada's baseball team is the Montreal Expos, and don't forget it.
Okay, I'll keep that noted.
Mike, I am working on a former Expo to come on my show, and I'm hoping to get him on, Warren Cromartie.
Nice, great interview. Very, very active in trying to get the Expos back to Montreal. He'll be a spectacular interview.
Absolutely. And hey, Mike, I want to say thank you so much for giving me and Nick a little bit of time tonight to talk about the Argos' first win of the year against Ottawa. And what are your thoughts on the win against Ottawa and some of the big plays from the defense and special teams?
Well, you do get big plays from every unit, right? Whether it be the deep passes to Coxie, or the tackle eligible, or I guess it looked like a tackle eligible, but they just snapped it from the guard position, so it was a legit. But yeah, it was a fun day. Big plays, obviously, from Sluka on defense and on special teams. McFadden's interception in the end zone. Like there were enough big plays, and it seems like over the first 3 games of the season, the Argos couldn't make any big plays, and every team they played seemed to make 2 or 3 really big plays against them. So all was right in the football karma world on Sunday.
Yeah,
Mike,
I can
go ahead,
agree
Nick.
to that. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can agree to that. I had a really good view sitting behind the Argos bench there in Ottawa with everybody else. I'm not sure if you saw, but I did post a photo of myself and a couple of my friends, Richard Chung and Connor Suve, underneath the Frank Clair statue, the former Toronto Argonaut and Ottawa Rough Rider head coach, one of the most legendary coaches in CFL history, of course. So it was really cool to be there and have an experience to see the team win on the road in a different city.
Solid picture, and Frank Clair, an important part of Argo history. He's I don't think there's any question he's more known as a head coach in Ottawa because he was there for so long, and but he had a successful run early in his career with the Argos. So just one of those names that sometimes gets overlooked when you talk about the important contributors to Argo history over the years.
Mike, I wanted to ask you this too. I know Sluka gets credit for the fumble recovery for the touchdown, which was set up by Benji Franklin punching that football out, and that's exactly what you needed to do. Now, on the field goal where he returned it 125 yards, do you know which Argo on the defensive line blocked that kick?
Yeah, it was Lanier, Anthony Lanier second. There were two hands that went up, but he had the darker glove, and you could see that it was his glove that got a smack on it. Kind of spiking it like a volleyball. He almost had 3 blocks on kicks. That was very Oakman-esque, the way that he was able to penetrate and time his jump. If he keeps doing that, he's going to block another one at least before the season is over, because he got really close to blocking another one. But he is just so strong. You look at somebody kind of from afar, and then when you see them up close on a daily basis, you get to appreciate their game a little bit more. And Lanier is like that for me. You knew he was really effective, especially 2 years ago with Saskatchewan. But unless you watched them, maybe you didn't recognize why. He is so strong. He's just. I think he's going to be such a difference maker in the middle because he can just push the pocket back. And if he starts collapsing the pocket, then that's going to make the guys off the edge even more effective. So, he was a guy that got it, and I can't see him not getting another one if he's as effective pushing the pocket as he did on Sunday.
Yeah, one of the stories definitely has to be, although there's been a lot of attention towards the guys that we have lost on the defensive line, particularly to a certain green and yellow team. John Murphy and everybody in the recruitment and scouting department have done a fantastic job picking up new guys in. Of course, Lanier the second there. Another guy who had a tremendous game was Andrew Chatfield Jr. Simply phenomenal how they're playing right now and really stepping up in a key point right now this season.
I know that everybody kind of you said, oh, look at what Edmonton's done with their defensive line at the expense of the Argonauts. As we sit right now, Andrew Chatfield has 5 sacks, and the Edmonton Elks have 2 as a team.
Wow.
The Argonauts have 12 as a team. Edmonton has 2 as a team. So, the guys are doing well. No disrespect to the guys who left, because we loved all of them, obviously, and wished they all could stay. But let's start giving a little bit of credit to the guys who dropped the X's and O's and what they do for the defensive line. Not to take anything away from the guys that we had last year, because they're obviously great players, but we've been able to replace them. And let's give Kevin Ivan and crew a little bit of credit here with Shivers in now, with Marshall in now as the D-line coach. It's a really well-coached team, and they're aggressive. And if you get guys who can pass rush in this scheme, they're going to have some success.
Mike, one of the players to me who stood out for the Argos, I thought he had his best game of the year, was Cam Judge. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he had 9 tackles and a sack, and just all over the field. And he just brings it. He hits so hard. And just as we do this, just released on Argonauts.ca, I caught up with Cam and Isaac D'Arcangelo, who's done such a good job filling in for Winton McManus. When Winton comes back and they're able to go into that 34 front, the linebacking core they're going to be able to put out there is just stupidly talented. But Judge is just, when I spoke to him, I think it was a day or maybe 2 days after the trade where he was acquired from Calgary. I asked him, what's he think? First thing he said, I'm glad to be back where the food is so good because we treat our players well. But he also, the next thing was, I got something to prove. Because his adventure here in 2021 wasn't successful. He came in with very high expectations. He had higher expectations on himself than we had on him, and the expectations for him were really high. But the injury he just couldn't shake that and get going, and ended up leaving the next year, going back to Calgary, and we never really saw Cam Judge at his best. We are now seeing Cam Judge at his best. 4 times over his 8 years, he's been a team's winner of their Most Outstanding Canadian Award. Last year, he was also Calgary's Most Outstanding Defensive Player. He just brings it all the time. And man, it is so good to see Cam Judge play the way that we had hoped he was going to play in 2021, because he is just dynamite to watch.
Yeah, to loop that in then, and it makes it even more important that he is the most outstanding Canadian player and a Canadian at that, because with him and having Daniel Cuomo behind and Ryder Varga, you're able to have that inside linebacker position be a Canadian, and then that opens it up for this opportunity to have someone like Silka come in, play safety, a position that's traditionally a Canadian position, and to have an American in there and to really bring that added talent to your defensive backs. It's simply phenomenal how it's working out right now for Toronto in the early stages of the season.
Yeah, and the Sluka story is a great one. I mean, at the beginning of camp, he was a receiver, don't forget. And, who was going to play that safety spot? Was it going to be Blackburn? Was he going to be ready? Was it one of the new guys? Jason Shivers had to figure out which piece of the puzzle to put in which spot in terms of the secondary. And it looked like for a while Jarrett Martin was going to be the safety. And then he hurt his hamstring. And I can't remember if that was specifically the incident that said, okay, let's try Sluka. Because that's his bread and butter. Like, that's what he didn't play offense at all in college at Ithaca. He was strictly a safety, and it was Indianapolis where he went as a safety, and he made a couple of really, what did he call them? He said, I made a couple of circus catches when he was with the Colts working out as a defender, and they had a spot open for a receiver, and they said, you want to try that? They're the ones that flipped him over. When he was brought into the Argos, it was as a receiver, but the defense, I know Kevin Ivan said, hey, if you guys ever, kind of don't need him, we'll take him. And they took him, and it's been nothing but great. He's got so much range, so much size. He can hit, and obviously you saw what he can do with the ball in his hands. He was just dynamite in Ottawa on Sunday.
Hey, Mike, the defense had 5 sacks, 3 takeaways, and 1 special teams play with the blocked field goal return for a touchdown. That's what you need to win games with in the CFL, and I thought this was probably the best Argos game of the year so far.
Oh, no question, and a lot of it does have to do with turnovers. And in Montreal, you think of the fumble at the end of the first half that cost them. In the Calgary game, it was a pick 6 at the end of the first half. They were secure with the ball. The interception that Priester had for the Red Blacks on Sunday was just ridiculous because he was being blocked into the football. Mittal had him. So it was fortuitous. I'm sure that Priester loved, getting a pick against the Argos more than anything. The Argo Bounce, there we go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the original Argo Bounce. That was the bad Argo Bounce that ended up in Priester's hands. But the turnovers have to happen for any team to be successful. If it's a tight game between two teams, I've said for years, don't even keep score. Just look at the turnovers at the end of the game, and that's the team that's going to win. I don't know what the success rate of that is, but if it was less than 90%, it would surprise me in a close game. And if it's a blowout, it's probably a blowout because of turnovers. So, the football is your friend, and the Argos had a really good night protecting the football and forcing Ottawa into mistakes on Sunday.
Mike, my only concern still with the offense is getting the running game going. They only had 12 carries for 30 yards. Can you tell us about the gentleman they brought in today, the American? I guess he was with Saskatchewan.
Yeah, he was with Toronto too.
Okay.
Kalen LeBourne. I know Vince Magri when he was here loved him.
Okay.
He was trying to get him, and Edmonton negged him. And when they made the trade, it was the Serezna for Curly Gittins trade. Well, I was told that they were pretty adamant in Toronto that the negotiation rights to LeBourne be part of that deal. And he came here and he had a good camp, but there were just too many backs ahead of him. Kadeem Carey was here last year, and he just wasn't. And Deontay McMahon was here, so
Attaboy.
And Attaboy, like it was deep. And now, obviously, with the guys that we were mentioning gone, McMahon is now hurt. Chop Williams is now hurt after his helmet got knocked off in the game in Ottawa. And he got hit in the eye. He got kneed in the eye, and that's the injury there. Now they've got Kevin Brown, who they had to bring back, who was released last cut at camp, and now Kalen comes back. He's a really dynamic back. I don't know how many carries he's going to get, but he should at least have a basic grasp of the offense because he went through it in training camp last year. Obviously, there's going to be some changes, but he knows what to expect. So. Will they get him in with some touches on Friday night against Hamilton? I would assume so, but I don't think he'll be the bell cow here. I assume it'll still be Kevin Brown.
Seems a little unfortunate, too, that it has to take place during a short week where they only really had one full proper day of practice to try to install that.
Yeah, but, not only is LeBourne a good back, and he had a touchdown. He had a really nice touchdown run last year with Ottawa against the Argos in the game where, what was the score, like 50-40, where Chad threw for 500 but had a few picks, and they had a couple of pick sixes, and it was just ridiculous. But he had like a 35-40 yard touchdown run in that game. So we know what he can do, and for him to have a back like that available at this stage of the season, because of injuries to your starters, is pretty fortuitous.
Mike, since we got you on here for a few more minutes, what does the injury report look for like this game against Hamilton, and when McManus scheduled to possibly come back into the lineup?
I don't know with when. Obviously, the bye week is going to help. The fact that these guys weren't 6-gamed may let you know that they aren't expecting to be out that long. So hopefully Wynn is able to come back. But as we were talking about earlier, the great thing is, and as much as Wynn is missed, Dark Angelo's done a hell of a job.
He stepped up.
Yeah, you still want Winton back there because he's not only the leader on the field, and he's maybe the best defensive player in the league. It's keeping him healthy that has been an issue at times here in Toronto. But this is his team. Like, he's the leader. They've got guys in the room like Daniels and Kelly who have leadership roles in there. This is Winton McManus's team. It's his locker room. Everybody knows it. And to get him back in uniform would be fantastic. He's been great coaching from the sidelines. And the one thing that I noticed about him, and if you ever go to camp in Guelph, and I know you guys have, if you watch when there's even Skelly going on or they're in teams, Winton McManus is on the sideline barking out instructions to the defense, trying to coach guys up, trying to help them. And that's the role that he's had with the Argos since he's been injured. So he's not in the lineup, but he is still a very big part of this defense.
Mike, when his career is over with, I don't know when that's going to happen, hopefully another couple years from now, do you see Winton McManus as a coach in the CFL?
Wouldn't surprise me at all. He's got the personality that people are drawn to. I don't know if it would be as a positional coach. I don't know if it would be a coordinator. I don't know if it would be as a head coach. I don't know if he wants to spend that much time away from his family. He's got a couple of youngins at home right now. So, there's a lot that goes into it in terms of trying to figure out what your next step is in terms of career. He could be a broadcaster. I thought he did a nice job on TSN for not having, experience in that realm. So he's a bright guy. He's a football savant. So I would hope he remains in the game, but I don't know at what level. Maybe his wife is from Toronto. Maybe they want to go back to Memphis where they met. I don't know. So hopefully that's 5 or 6 years away though.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to worry about it quite anytime soon, at least for this and next season, I hope. Just to also add, the injury charts were posted on the CFL website. It seems by the game status that they're taking the approach that anybody who needs the extra rest, if it's even a questionable, let them rest this game and then come back swinging 2 weeks from now after their bye week against Montreal and sort of reevaluate everything by then. So hopefully by that point, guys who are on the fringe, maybe guys like Jack Cassar, and maybe Chad Kelly, even we'll see Derek Parrish, guys who are all kind of on the fence. Hopefully by then they'll be fully able and ready to go, and we start anew kind of out of this bye week.
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple of guys to a degree. I'm somewhat surprised they're not back because they were confident they would be back. I know Parrish thought he'd be okay to go last week in Ottawa. Harry Lemanoff, same thing, talking to them. But, better safe than stupid. And, I'd rather have these guys miss a game in July than miss 6 more if they come back too early, or maybe have that really bad injury or get, banged up getting closer to playoffs or aggravate something. Look after it now. The athletic therapists and Usama Mujtaba are very smart guys, so they'll do the right things.
Yeah, I think it works a lot into Toronto's favor too. Jumping ahead a little bit this week with Hamilton because. As we know, the Argonauts are missing a lot of key pieces. Hamilton, not so much. They're pretty much with their full roster. If we're still able to beat Hamilton with 12 guys out, including Winnie McMass and Chad Kelly, it really puts an alarm bell ringing in Hamilton, I think.
You would think so. And, from their perspective, they've had so many lousy starts over the last few years. It's hurt a team that's had playoff talent because they've just had to play catch up. The fortunate thing for the Argos is 0-3 has not been in this team's DNA since the arrival of Ryan Dinwiddie, and yet they're tied for a playoff spot right now, and would be in the playoffs right now despite only having 1 win. So they haven't seen Montreal get too far ahead. They haven't seen Ottawa or Hamilton get ahead at all. So if you can weather the storm without the players that you mentioned and big players on offense, on defense. And I'm glad you mentioned Cassar and Harry Lamana because they are very key components to what happens on special teams. When they start getting healthy and coming back, this is going to be a much, much different football team in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, before the game last week against Ottawa, what kind of differences did you see in the coaching staff with the players? I guess after that loss to Saskatchewan, I guess Dinwiddie kind of read them the riot act a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan went off, and he hasn't had to do that very often. And sometimes you'll see him do that, but not to that extent. Calling up positional groups, like in the past, he's usually gone with generalities. We got to get better. We can't have the turnover, stuff like that. He was pretty direct, and I know he's frustrated with the play of the offensive line. It's a group that should be better than it is. It's a group that, when you look at the personnel, is better than what it's shown, and I know that they want to get back to where they should be, probably more than Dinwiddie does. There's a lot of pride in that group. There's a lot of veterans in that group, and they've given Nick time to throw the football. There have been some sacks, but that seems to be getting reduced as the weeks go on. They played cleaner, but I don't know how much of it's on the O-line. I don't know how much is on the running backs, but at some point they've got to get the running game going. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if they're a little bit away or if they're a lot away in the eyes of the coaching staff. But at some point, because the running game has been so important here, whether it be with Carey, whether it be with Harris, whether it be with Ouellette. Those guys have been really good backs here in Toronto, and it's such a big part of Dinwiddie's offense that at some point they've got to find themselves.
Yeah, even looking this week against Hamilton, I was watching the Hamilton-Montreal game when I was in Ottawa, and it seemed like Hamilton was able to get a lot of pressure on Montreal just with 4 rushing linemen. So if they're not able to pick that up in the same way that Montreal wasn't able to, that's going to put a lot of challenges towards Nick Arbuckle.
Yeah, Hamilton's a better team than they were, in terms of personnel. Teddy Gavai's done a nice job bringing guys in, and we're all hoping Ted gets better. He's going through a health scare right now, and anybody in the CFL basically knows Ted. He's worked for a few teams, including the Argos, in his run, most recently with Winnipeg before coming over to Hamilton. An exceptionally good eye for talent, and he's done a nice job putting the pieces in play there. I think everybody in Toronto knows Scott Milanovich is a good coach. So now there are no excuses in Hamilton. And as you were mentioning, if they come into BMO Field and lose to a banged up Argo team on Friday night, there's going to be a pretty big mirror looking back at that locker room.
Mike, before we let you go in 2 minutes, I got a couple of viewers. Robbie Schneider from Buffalo, who's been converted into an Argo fan, is watching. And Richard Chong, who's an Argo season ticket holder, huge fan of the team. He wants to say Wynton McManus did a great job in being an ambassador for your team. We'll see you all on Friday night's game. And since I got you on here, Mike, I'm sure Nick would want to ask you this too. What are some keys to an Argo win over a very good Hamilton team Friday night at BMO Field?
Win the turnover battle. And I will say that every week, no matter which team, no matter which level of football, win the turnover battle. If they start handing out cookies like Montreal did to Hamilton the other night, Hamilton scored 14 defensive points against them. If the Argos can come up with big turnovers like they did in Ottawa, whether it be the T-Mac interception, T-time in the end zone, whether it be the Sluka fumble on the Benchy Franklin punch out. That's the kind of stuff they have to do. That's the stuff that Hamilton has to do as well. So I'll go with turnovers and, my goodness, get some sort of running game established. And, we've talked about that, but hang on to the football and be able to run the football a little bit. And I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, to kind of bounce off that, I'm gonna talk about the things I think that it's gonna come down to more than anything. It's probably gonna come down to quarterback play, and I think by the end of this game, whoever ends up having the most total passing yardage of the two is probably going to be the winning quarterback, in my opinion. And when we look at the stats right now in the CFL, I know that the Argos have had one extra game and Hamilton had a bye week, but Nick Arbuckle is number 1 in the league in total passing yards at this point this season, and Bo Levi Mitchell's at number 2. So I really think it's going to come down to those passing yards by the end. If Arbuckle's able to get into the 300s and they're able to hold Bo Levi Mitchell to below 300, I think you could see Toronto winning this game.
Oh yeah, and I think the one stat that I think Bo would be most happy with this year is the interceptions. I think he's only thrown 2 interceptions. I haven't done Hamilton's prep yet, but I think I read that earlier this week when I was looking at some numbers.
Yeah, 4-1 right now. TDs to INTs.
If you can do that again on Friday night, that's going to be tough sledding for the Argos. And with that receiving core that he has, that's insane. We all know how good Kenny Lawler is, and then Tim Smith, when he hangs onto the football, is as good as anybody. I don't know what has happened to him over the last year and a bit with the dropsies, but I've been bugged by a couple of my cohorts on the air that I might be the president of the Tim White fan club. I just love him as a receiver, but I don't know where those dropsies came from, because earlier in his Hamilton tenure they weren't there. But if he hangs onto the football and you've got those two to start with, wow, that's a pretty formidable group. So those got some targets.
They brought it up during the broadcast, I think, talking about how they were playing White underneath Lawler, and that would allow White to be more open up because they were double teaming him in man. I think one thing that might work in Toronto's favor is that they tend to play a little bit more zone coverage, so maybe they won't fall into that trap quite the same way. But that's the fun about football. We'll have to wait and see until the game starts to see what game plan they come out with.
Yeah, if you play too much man against those receivers, at some point Bo's going to find a guy. And that's no disrespect to the Toronto defensive backs. That's praise for the Hamilton receivers. They're that good. And Bo, if he sees man, is going to lick his lips like any quarterback will in the CFL when they've got a plethora. I'm sure Nick would do the same thing, place a man against him. And, he's able to read that. And Nick is a very smart quarterback. Some of the passes that he throws, he's had that interception thing around his neck since he came into the league. So you may not think that smart would be in all cases the right word, but he really knows how to dissect a defense. And we saw him make some reads to find Tavares open in the game where he was able to identify the defense early and go right to that spot. So that's what Nick is. And if Nick plays like that, and again, takes the interceptions out of his game, he's a pretty good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and Nick, I think the key is going to be between the lines. I think it's going to come down to the D line and the O lines, who lines plays better. And I also have a feeling special teams is going to play a factor in this game as well. I have the Argos winning this game 33-30.
Hope you're right.
I hope so too.
I don't care if they win 3-2 or they win 87-86. Just 2 points against Hamilton would be huge. Not only in the standings, but as you guys have been talking about, if Hamilton can't beat a deleted Argo lineup when they're healthy, that doesn't speak highly for where Hamilton is at this stage of the season. Certainly not writing them off, but boy, that's one that they are probably thinking they've got to get this week.
Yeah, the line did take a little bit of a swing when I was last checking. Not to go into sports betting a lot, but just using it as a tool based on where the favorites are. Yesterday, Toronto was a slight favorite. I think they were like a point or a point and a half favorites. Now it's in Hamilton's favor by a full 3 points, a full
really
field goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw the open at 1.5. I didn't see that it had swung that much.
Yeah, that was just now.
For a game to swing by over a field goal, that means there's a lot of money coming in on Hamilton.
Yeah, well, I know I always put my chips on double blue, so
it's worked for you in the last 4 years.
Yep, true that.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go, just quick thoughts on pinball getting the Order of Canada along with his wife, Diane, and your broadcast tomorrow night with Ben Grant. How can people listen to it, and what time are you guys going on air?
Yeah, it wasn't the Order of Canada, but it was at the Order of Canada ceremonies. They were recognized for their work in the community with the Pinball Clemens, the Pinball Clemens Foundation with Mike and Diane. They were both honored for that. But it was at the same night when the Order of Canada was getting handed out. So I understand everybody's confusion with that. But yeah, the Pinball Foundation is just ridiculous. Helping kids and putting the emphasis on education, not only in the GTA, but they built schools in Africa. They do spectacular work. I'm glad to see them rewarded for that. As for the broadcast, 7:00 tomorrow will be the pregame show. 7:30 will be the puberty. 7:30 will be the kickoff as they host the Ticats. What's his name? Grant from that X's and Argos thing. He will join me once again, and hopefully we inform and entertain and just we have fun with it, and hope you guys have fun listening.
Unfortunately, I won't be at the game, but I will be watching on TV, and I will be back for the July 26th game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and hopefully Chad Kelly will be back. Hopefully, fingers crossed for the Alouettes game on, I believe, July 17th. Fingers crossed.
Yep, absolutely. It's a different looking team with Chad because he does stretch the field a little bit better than Nick does.
Yeah, well, you can count on me seeing you there. I'll be there bright and early with everybody out doing the tailgate, or whether they're going to Liberty Village or whatever pregame. It's no better way to spend the day at BMO Field, hanging out and just getting excited. I've noticed that now through this season, I have the honor of being one of these fans who has not missed an Argonauts game. And no stutter, no only home games, no only Guelph or this and that. I've been to every single game so far, preseason included. It's such a fun thing to do, and meeting everybody else who's been in the same boat. It's just so much fun to be able to support your team no matter where they go.
One of the great things, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the great things that has evolved over time has been the amount of road love the Argos get now from the fan base. And when I moved to Toronto in the 90s, the Road Warriors were basically the friends of the Argos, right? It was Laurie and it was Finn and Mark, and they would go on road games and that'd be it. Now, you look out there and there's at any given point, you'll see 20 faces in the stands that might not be there to every road game, but certainly get to a lot of them. And, it's probably 20 plus. I know we went to the Eastern Final last year, and Ben and I went out for dinner with Sean Bowen and Josh White, cameraman, and they ended up going somewhere else. And we went back to the hotel bar just to see if anybody was in there. And it was Adam Goss and Daniela. And then that became 6 of us, and then 8, and then 10, and then 12, and then 14. And next thing you knew, we had people at the bar who were Argo fans, but didn't know anybody at the table joining us. And we had like 4 tables pulled together, and there were probably 20 people at the table. And that's just one spot. And that was just at the calmness of the hotel. Like that was probably going on in 15 different bars in Montreal. So it's great when you see those shots on TSN, if you're not at the game, cheering for the Argos, to see the team represented. And I know how much the players love looking up in the stands and seeing double blue. So for you guys who do that, keep doing it, because it is noticed by the players and the coaching staff.
I can tell you as a fan, it means the world to us as well when the players and the coaching staff and everybody, acknowledges guys like Mickey Donovan, Lerm Haralau, always come over, say hi, say thanks for coming out. Ryan Dinwiddie did that in Montreal at the away opener there. It means a lot to us as fans to be appreciated too. And it's glad there's that love between the fans and the players. There's no other sport in the world where you have that same level of engagement to the team as we do here in the CFL.
It's a big part of why the CFL is what it is, and it's the proximity fans have to the players. You guys have been to practices. You see that, the interaction between players and fans afterwards, and autographs and pictures. And I love the NFL, but that's not happening in that league. It's not happening in the NHL or Major League Baseball, although Major League Baseball really doesn't have practices because they play every day. But it's just, you're right. And that's part of the reason when I came to Toronto, I knew I was going to go to as many Argo games as I could as a fan, and didn't realize that after the games you could go and have a beer with the players. It used to be at Joe Badali's back in the day, the dearly departed Joe Badali's. Where players would go afterwards and have a beer with the fans. And that was kind of the joy of it. And it's not unusual now to go into Liberty Village after a game and go, oh, there's, and see a bunch of players over there as well. So, it's one of the great selling points of this league. And, to see the fan tunnels before the game and, some of the on-field stuff after the game. It's a really neat aspect of the CFL, and the players appreciate the fans. Trust me.
Canada Day in Ottawa was pretty special too, because we were out on the field after that. It's just another example. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Mike, I want to say, even though I can't make it to the game tomorrow, I'll be watching or listening on radio or TV, and I'll have a couple of beers for you as well.
Nice. That's the one thing I miss about this job is I can't sit in the stands and have a beer. I know nothing goes better than a cold beer on a hot day, and it's going to be a beautiful day at BMO Field. If you're coming out to the game, get there early. Don't forget, Go Train is your friend. With some of the traffic held in Toronto, just hop on the go, and it lets you right out at exhibition. I know Ben's talked about where they will go west to Mimico to come east on the Go Train. It just makes so much more sense. So I hope fans take advantage of that and take a look at the Go site for ticket specials, and for, on the weekend, there's that $10 pass, which is awesome.
I agree. And Mike, I want to say thanks to Chris Belinovich. I know he's a Packers fan and Notre Dame fan, but I want to thank you because you put me in touch with Chris 4 years ago. And I didn't go to school for broadcast journalism, but the Argonauts have been a big part of my growth as a media personality.
Put my super up on the screen with my name and what my role is, what my title is. I want to see that up on the screen.
I have your X account on here, Mike Hogan Argos.
No, I saw it earlier because it said when I log in, it's got my name and it says title.
Oh.
Did you see? I saw it super
No.
earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Manager communications.
No, it is
Oh.
President Chris Belenovich Fan Club.
All
Oh,
right.
That's what it says. And
You got me again.
yeah, he will come on the show if you ask.
No, he is shy. He said
He
he's
will
very
come
shy.
on. He is not shy.
Really?
He will come on the show if you ask.
I'll have to bribe him with a cookie or
You
something.
don't have to bribe him.
I think
You
it's
do not
because
have to bribe him.
I think it's
He
because
will
he
show
doesn't
up.
want to rip the two of you guys for being Eagles fans. I think that's what it's coming down to.
I know he's weak that way. He's a Packers fan. He's obviously jealous. But yeah, ask him to come on, and I will challenge him right now, Chris. Not you, Chris, but Belenovich. When Mr. Pomay asks you to come on the show, don't say no. The people want to know what you do and more about you because you're an interesting guy. He is the Mr. D of the CFL. He's a former teacher who is now the head of media for the Toronto Argonauts.
I did not know he was a teacher, so that's another fun fact.
There you
He
go.
was Mr. D. He was Mr. D.
Now, is he the best golfer on the Argonauts?
Oh, hell no. No. If I can beat him, he's not a good golfer. Do not play for money with Kevin Ivan.
Good to know. I haven't golfed.
I guess you'll find out at the alumni charity golf tournament.
Yes. And keep watching. I'll post it again. I posted it on Twitter. It's in October. I think the 6th. That's at Lionhead. It's $250. Money will go to help reformat. See, there it is. President Chris Belenovich Fan Club.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah. It's going to help refit helmets for youth football and some money for the Argonaut Alumni Assistance Fund that goes to people in need who wore the double blue at one point. So it's a great day. It's $250. You get your lunch, you get your dinner. There's a great prize table. So at Mike Hogan Twitter, go back and look, and I'll post it again after this, just so it's a little closer to the top of the timeline.
I'm available for a caddy if you need one.
I would like to.
The last thing I need is a caddy because I don't need somebody laughing at me in the middle of the round.
I would like to attend this event, except I haven't golfed since August of 1994, and I don't think they'd let me use a hockey stick as a golf club.
You're a recovering golfer. More people should be like you.
31 years, but I would like to go. It sounds like a really good time.
You can go for just the dinner.
Okay.
The dinner and the award ceremony. That is an option as well. That when you go there, I think that's $75. And again, it's a fundraiser. So, but the dinner, the buffet has always been great, and Lionhead's a spectacular facility. We're really lucky to be playing there. It's more of an upscale course, so the cost is a little bit more than it's been in the past. But I think we can use Lionhead as a destination for golfers who go, oh, that's good. I know I'm in a foursome with 3 buddies of mine from Kingston who are thrilled because they haven't played Lionhead before, but know all about it. So they're really, really not only looking forward to meeting some of the players from days gone by with the Argos, but getting on that golf course.
And just another example of bringing it full circle about how the fans, the players of current, the players of old, they're all one big community. We're all one big community, and to do it for such a great cause is awesome.
Yep. So just hit me up. If I can't post it, just hit me up with a DM, and I'll send you all the details. But I'll try and get that link up on Twitter.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Well,
Thanks,
Mike,
guys. Appreciate
thank you so much. We'll see you in a few weeks. Go Argos. Have a great broadcast. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that was Mike Hogan, the voice of the Toronto Argonauts and manager of media communications for the Toronto Argonauts and the president of the Chris Belenovich Fan Club. You're speechless, Nick. You're not saying anything.
Oh, yeah, maybe you just got cut off a second there, but yeah, always a great guy to have. Wonderful wealth of knowledge. Obviously doing the coolest job in the world, I think, to be the play-by-play commentator for the Toronto Argonauts. Something I could only dream of doing. It's phenomenal. He does an amazing job, not only with that, but also with everything that he does, managing communications and everything. It's a big role, meeting with important people directing the press conferences for the coaches, the players, and who not and whatnot. And of course, really great community engagement, as we see here with the charity golf tournament, with the engagement with fans, with everybody else. Mike's a big part of that. So and we're really lucky to have him and to have had him as long as we have, because in some other teams, these guys might only be it for 2 or 3 years. And I think it's been more than a decade.
15,
Yeah, it's
15
been
years.
15 years for Mike Hogan
15, it's
now,
a good
well
run.
over a decade. Yeah.
Hey, Nick, since before we wrap up this show, tell our audience a little bit about your writing. You're doing some Argo articles and stuff like that. Tell people what you're doing and where they can find and subscribe to your writing.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So, yeah, my formal background prior to doing the Argo Bounce, I was actually a history major when I was in school. So I've really taken a shine to looking at the history of the CFL and just history in general. And I wanted, over those last couple of years, I've been trying to get back into doing some more historical writing and also give it a little bit of a modern take by the fact that I'm going to all these games. I may as well write about them. So, offering my perspectives and things on it. So if you ever want to check out some of my writing, I try to publish post-game reviews now within a day or two after the game's over, and that can be on my personal blog called smallsportsblog.wordpress.com. If you don't see it here now, don't worry. If you just go on my Twitter account, Nick_small_38, you'll find the link there in my profile description. So I'm doing that. And then I've also been wanting to dig deep a little more in Argonauts and CFL history. So I started looking at the Argo Bounce and doing a little brief kind of reflection review on that. And I want to look at some other books. And I've been in the process of doing that as part of trying to go back to school for a PhD. It probably won't be in football history per se, just because it's a really hard field to get into. But like some other books I'm looking at right now, this Bernstein football, it's all about the Ivy League in the United States. So really the origins of US football. And then another one I've got here that I've checked out recently is Orrid's Reading Football, based on the how the media has published football in the early eras and contributed to the growth of it. Things like radio, of course, come into it as well, when the first games between Yale and Concordia and all these U.S. colleges started to grow. So it's all, and this ties into the Canadian aspect as well, because McGill traveled to play Harvard in, I think it was 1887 was the first kind of real crossover game. And that sort of evolved into what we see now in modern football with the 3 downs, the larger field. All that can trace its way back to almost 150 years now. So yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff, and I enjoy doing it. So if you ever have any interest, I'm going to try to push more content out there to kind of educate and inform people and just share the love of Canadian football, because we have a great game. And I hate the idea of detractors being like, oh, you need 4 downs because America has it and therefore it's better. That mentality should not be a thing, because it's here for a reason.
Absolutely. Hey, Nick, you also have a YouTube channel. You want to promote your YouTube channel as well?
Yeah, as well. I'm in the process of trying to do more video content as well. My YouTube account is the same as my Twitter, NickSmall38. I think I've only got 1 video on there right now that was an unboxing. I'll have a little bit more stuff to come. I've noticed it's a lot easier to get it written down than it is to try to do a live stream or to do recording and editing and all that. So I'm in the process of that, and I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks, maybe I'll provide more content on current games, but also looking back at some historical content as well.
Absolutely, Nick. And before we wrap up our show tonight, we must do our segment we do every week. I was 4 for 4 last week, by the way, 4 for 4. So we'll see who wins this week. We've got week 5 coming up in the CFL, and we've got a game tonight, 9:00, Winnipeg at Calgary. And then Friday night, Hamilton at Toronto, which I really wish I could be at, but unfortunately I got a commitment. And then BC and Montreal on Saturday, and then the Sunday night game is Ottawa and Edmonton. Nick, do you want to go first on Week 5 games?
Sure. I want to elaborate. I'll just be quick. Winnipeg at Calgary. I'm going to take Winnipeg on the road. Hamilton at Toronto. I'm going to go with the double blue. And then third game, BC at Montreal. I will say right now, it looks like Nathan Rourke is set to start and Davis Alexander will be out. So it's McLeod Bethel Thompson starting for Montreal. I'm still going to put my chips on MBT and go for Montreal again. And then Ottawa at Edmonton. I'm going to go with Ottawa on the road. Edmonton has not proven anything at this point for me to put any weight behind them yet.
And former Argos receiver Curly Gittins Jr. is not getting used in this offense either. So I'm wondering at some point if Gittins is kind of wanting out of Edmonton at some point.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because to me, he's too good of a receiver to only be target once or twice a game as well. So
my problem with Edmonton right now, and it's like I've been a supporter, but the problem is when Trey Ford's passing play is go there and there and there and then throw the ball, not an effective strategy long term. So they've got to find a way to get him a little bit more consistent pocket presence rather than him kind of scrambling willy-nilly.
Okay, my Week 5 CFL picks, I was 4-0 last week. Winnipeg at Calgary. Common sense says Winnipeg wins this game. I'm going with Calgary in an upset. Hamilton and Toronto. Common sense says right now Hamilton is healthier and has a lot of talent, but I'm going to go with the Argos to win 33-30 over Hamilton, and Jerian Grant is going to have a special teams touchdown, mark my words. And then BC at Montreal. I do not like the BC Lions. There's something wrong with that team, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the Alouettes. Even with McLeod Bethel Thompson, I think the Alouettes are going to get by BC. And then the Sunday game between Ottawa and Edmonton, common sense says Ottawa should win this game. I'm going to go with Edmonton. The Elks are going to win a game at some point. So why not at home against Ottawa on Sunday?
It kind of scares me that we're in week 5 right now, and we're still in the scenario where Ottawa's the best chance for Edmonton to win a game. That's kind of scary when you think about it.
And what were your thoughts on Canada today this year, Nick? And what makes the CFL so special?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun for me to be in the nation's capital to celebrate it as well. It was really cool. I know it didn't really fall the way where we could have a game on Canada Day, and I don't blame anyone. Like Tuesday night is really hard to do fit in the schedule because somebody's inevitably going to have to play a really short week on one end or the other. But it's the CFL is Canada's game. It's the only sport that right now of the major sports that truly has its roots in Canada, is a distinct Canadian style of the game, and is only played in Canada. And it's something that I, as a CFL fan for all my life, absolutely adores. And on a day in which we're supposed to really reflect and celebrate what makes our country great and what makes it a fantastic place to be, the fact that, as I mentioned earlier with Hoagie, that fans are willing to travel from BC to Ottawa, Montreal, and everywhere in between to go and cheer on their favorite CFL teams in 18 regular season games and 3 playoff games. It's something that I think sometimes we take for granted, and it's something that I hope we can encourage more Canadians to do, because it's just such a fun thing, and it's I think it's as important a part of the Canadian identity as the NHL or lacrosse or curling or any other sport in this country.
What time are you getting down to BMO Field tomorrow for your tailgate? And make sure you say hi to everybody. And I will be back on July 26th, probably as media against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, I haven't decided on a set time yet, but probably it'll be sometime. It'll be well before gates open. Probably I'm looking at like 1 or 2 o'clock-ish, heading down early, hanging out. Whether that means going to Liberty Village first to go to some of the breweries there, pick up some drinks and bring them over, or some food, of course, to the tailgates. There's always people there. There's always friends. And if you don't know anybody, say it all the time. Just say, hey, what do you think of the Toronto Argonauts this year? Start with something really simple with that, or even ask them, how did you become a fan of the Argonauts? Or you'll see Tiger Cats fans here this game. I'll guarantee you that, and they're good people too. Say, hey, so why did you become a Tiger fan? And all all that it's just gets the conversation going, and we're all united by a common interest in the CFL. There's always going to be a couple of bad apples, but the overwhelming majority of fans are passionate. They care about the team, and more importantly, they care about the well-being of the league as a whole. Yeah, it's great if one of us or both of us are full every time, but we want the league to be full. We don't want it to be where one team's not doing well and having to be propped up um, by the equality, by the sharing system. We want every team to do well, and you see that in the new commissioner Stuart Johnson's mandate there, where he said only 2 of the teams broke even last year. We need to get this model and set up so that all 8 or all 9 teams can thrive and succeed. So that's what we're trying as fans to do our part towards, and just by coming down to the game, it's the easiest thing you can do.
Nick, I almost forgot to ask you this. Thoughts on the Canadian flag being on the patches of the team's jerseys to celebrate Canada's 158th year of the country?
Yeah, it's a great initiative. As I said before, it's Canada's game, so why not? If you're gonna ask me about Montreal, it's been proven that it was a supply chain issue. They weren't able to get them on in time, so they will be on the Alouettes jerseys for the rest of the year. This isn't some FLQ crisis that Quebec is trying to separate again. No, none of that. It was just an honest mistake that they weren't able to get them on in time. So we'll see it on the Alouettes jerseys and on all CFL player worn jerseys for the rest of the year. I think that'll be pretty cool too if they do keep them on, if they do the game worn jersey auctions later on at the end of the year like they do in Toronto and some of the other teams. It'll be cool to have that Canadian flag patch on the jersey as another kind of really easy identifying tool to tell it was an authentic game worn one versus someone that someone's trying to pass off as one.
By the way, Nick, this game is important to both clubs, but for the Argos, it would be really a bonus, an extra bonus if they could get this win, because I believe they're going to have 13 days off. And I think those 13 days is really going to help some of the guys that are banged up get back, hopefully, for the July 17th game against Montreal.
Yeah.
I do have a good feeling about this game against Hamilton. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think it's going to come down to a Jerion Grant special teams touchdown. Oh, by the way, the Argos did a social media thing last week, and Dylan Giffen, I am sorry for calling you Griffin. So that was on his social media where somebody called him Griffin. That was me. So Dylan Giffen, and hopefully I get a chance to interview him again and get his name right as well. We all make mistakes. Even the media does as well. Nick, I just want to say, keep doing the good work on your articles and keep doing the show with me, because you're building yourself up, and just grow your YouTube channel and your social media, and you will get your opportunities. It just takes a little bit of work.
Yeah, well, if we need to work on the pronunciations, I've got the pronunciation list. I know we were working through guys like Sluka there a little bit earlier.
Yes.
We'll work on Lirim Haralahu as well, because that's
Yes.
always one of the really hard ones.
Tricky. That's the trickiest one for me. In all the time I've been doing this for 6 years, Liam's last name is the trickiest, but I am gonna get it right. And he's such a good guy off the field, and he's a typical Toronto Argonaut. And as much as I miss Boris Beatty, Liam, bringing him back was a great choice, and he's just been such a positive for the Argos the last couple of years.
We can always do the phone a friend and bring up our buddy Adam Goss, the voice of the Argos, the PA announcer. For those who don't know, at every Argos home game, he's got to know all the names down pat, especially with sudden changes with guys like Deontay McMahon or Royce Metier over the last couple seasons, and he does it better than anyone.
And his figures, Royce Metier goes to Edmonton, and I get his name right. But when I interviewed him in golf, I made a boo-boo. So yes, that's the same. When we get Adam on our show, we'll talk about the importance in name pronunciation. And some of these names aren't what they are pronounced. So it's important.
We'll have to ask favorite names he's gonna pronounce over the course of a season.
Final thoughts on our show tonight was Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos.
Yeah, well, all I gotta say is to everybody here, if you haven't already, get your tickets. Come on down to BMO Field, even if you gotta come from the Hammer. If you're listening to us from the other side, we've got friends too out there. Wally, Laura, Corey, Rick. Countless others that I can't think of off the top of my head. So maybe not so countless, but in any case, we're always welcome to have you guys down. Don't let a couple of bad eggs or anything intimidating intimidate you from coming down. We're always welcome, and you can always find a good group of us out in the tailgating section before the game. So come on down, enjoy the game. It's going to be a fantastic Friday night of football. Summer's officially started. What better thing is it to do than to come down to BMO Field and enjoy a football game?
I want to before we wrap up this show, Nick, I want to give a shout out to Julian from the Toronto Argonauts season ticket rep. He helped me out with an issue today. So Julian, thank you so much. And guys, I highly recommend getting a season ticket to the Toronto Argonauts. The on-field product is good. The environment is very good at BMO Field. And even if you're a stranger, the Argo fans take you in and treat you like one of their own. It's really like Argo's family, and somebody should market that on a t-shirt, Argo's family or We Are Family, because it is like a family environment down at BMO Field. It's so much different than the corporate NFL environment.
The value's there too. You don't have to go on to Drake Silvio website and buy a t-shirt for $70. You can get your season tickets for, in your section was what, a little over 300, was it?
290.
Okay, so under 300. Yep. Mine are a little bit more because I sit underneath the press box, but even that, it's I have 2 season tickets for just over $1,000. So 500 divided among 10 games, and that's $50 a game. It's well affordable. It's definitely not like Leafs tickets where those $1,000 might only get you 1 ticket for 1 game.
Yep. All right, Nick. Well, we're gonna finish up this show. We've got Thursday night football getting underway right now. Winnipeg at Calgary, and we will definitely see you, Nick, in a few weeks. I will be in Hamilton on July 12th. Doing some media coverage for the Tiger Cats, and then I will be back in Toronto on July 26th for the Winnipeg-Toronto game. The August 9th game against Ottawa, I think I'm going to go as a fan because that's when Chris Schultz, the late Chris Schultz, and Nick Volpe get introduced into the Argos, old-time Argos category. And I forgot to talk to Mike Hogan about that, but we'll have Mike Hogan back on our show later in the season as well. And hopefully we'll get some more surprise guests from around the CFL. Come on.
Yeah, let's pull together for one more game this Friday against Hamilton, and then we'll probably take a hiatus with the Argos bye week this week. So we'll probably see you guys next week as they get closer to the game against Montreal post-bye. Hopefully by then we get a better sense of who might be coming back. So
approximately July 15th, maybe July 15th, because their next game after this is July 17th against Montreal. So maybe the 14th or the 15th.
Yeah, either way, thanks everybody for tuning in. Take care, and as always, go Argos.
Go Argos. Thanks, Nick. All right, guys, that concludes season 4, episode 4 of the Argo Bounce Podcast, a weekly independent talk show devoted to the CFL's 19-time Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts with Nick Small and myself and our occasional guests. We've had Marty York on, Mike Hogan, and throughout the season, we will have more guests from the Argos and around the CFL on the Argo Bounce Podcast show, which is live streamed on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, and Instagram. And the Argo Bounce Podcast show is on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, anywhere where podcasts are available. The Argo Bounce Show is available as well. And if you're a local business and you'd like to come aboard the Argo Bounce Podcast Show with Nick Small and myself, please email me at cpomay19@gmail.com. That's cpomay19@gmail.com if you're a business looking to advertise on the Argo Bounce Podcast Show as well. And that is about it. The Argos, Hamilton, Friday night, 7:30 kickoff at BMO Field. You can get tickets at argonauts.ca, or you can watch the game on TSN or listen to it on TSN 1050 with the voice of the Toronto Argonauts, Mike Hogan, and his color analyst, Ben Grant, from the X's and O's Argos podcast show. Should be a great game. I hope everybody has a great night. Enjoy the CFL games tonight. Winnipeg at Calgary, and then Friday, Hamilton and Toronto. And then Saturday, we have BC at Montreal and Ottawa and Edmonton on Sunday night. And before we wrap this up, guys, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullin.com, is going to be on Saturday, July 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern with my special guest, Lauren Harvey, the coordinator with the Buffalo Bandits, the official dance team of the Buffalo Bandits. Back-to-back-to-back, three-time NLL World Champion Buffalo Bandits. So have a great night, everybody, and enjoy the CFL games this weekend. And as always, go Argos.
Go, Toronto Argos, go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go, go, go. Go, Toronto Argos, go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the